Hey everyone, it's Valley here. I wanted to take a few moments just to be able to reflect on the 2024 women's soccer card market and give 5 predictions that I have for the market this year. I understand that we're a month into the year, but I was just thinking as I was considering some moves that I'm making this year, and I just wanted to toss out some ideas, honestly, to continue conversation. I feel like in the past 6, 8 months has been not as many conversations around some of the cards that we love to collect and we love to add to our collections. And so I just want to continue the conversation by making this contribution. Feel free to put some comments below with some of your thoughts or to reach out about it. I hope this starts conversations for us. Here's my first prediction for this year for us to think about. The market will produce a new rising star whose market will peak and settle in the next calendar year. Here's what I mean by that. Over the course of the past few seasons, we've seen a handful of moments when there's been these new rookies or prospects that just gain a lot of momentum. They peak because they have all this expectation and status that is kind of driven into that hype. And the hype is what drives people to purchase larger cards or to invest in a certain player. It's a few small performances. But we see this drop off happen fairly quick. And we've seen this in the past 2 seasons with the Barcelona effect, with their dominant performances and the rise of players. I know Lauren James is not with Barcelona, but thinking about Bamadi and Salma there, their cards kind of went up drastically and then they've settled somewhat now. But there was a lot of hype there. And I think it's interesting to see that hype work with those players, but also thinking about Lauren James because hers peaked fairly early. She dropped pretty steadily, and now she's having a very quality season. And I'm wondering whether or not the market will catch back up with the solid performances that she has been having. I've said this before in other spaces, the way that we're viewing these rising stars right now, we're investing a lot of capital and resources into the hope and the idea that they will become a world-class player, not only just world-class, but that they would be in that legendary status. I think this market has a lot of work to do in seeking to categorize what it means for someone to be a legend or to be one of those, top 2 or 3 players that really drive the market in the way in which they're playing. I'll get to that a little bit later with one of my other thoughts. And so every market pays attention to rising stars. However, rising stars rarely bear the weight of expectations. And so I think we should assume that whoever's going to burst into the scene this year is going to gain popularity and then is going to drop off. And the conversation for you to consider is, unless it's maybe a top 25 card at best, I would probably hold off to buy them until there's a little bit of a drop off, until there's a point in which it's more reasonable for you to get that player's cards. And typically, unless it is a out of 5 or a 1 of 1, maybe an out of 10, you're rarely going to see the best time to pick up that player's card be on the release of that set. I think in many ways, we all have the FOMO, the fear of missing out, and we drive into that new set and we try to get those key players' cards and we overpay. And then when we overpay, we see that drop off come shortly after that. This happens with every set and typically most sports. And so we need to be aware of that even within this market, particularly when there is the overpopulation of cards within the market right now, but particularly when we get the hype behind rising stars and we want to just collect their cards. Last year, Osama, before that, Bamadi, and Lauren James. And so we just have to be ready for who's going to be this next player. I would not be the one trying to call the shot. It could be from anyone who performs well in the Champions League or finishes out the league fairly strong. But I've been watching even Lauren James cards are they going to be going up since she's been playing fairly well for her club side lately? Those are ideas we need to pay attention to, but we need to see that that drop off happens pretty steep within this market right now. Let's get to my second prediction. The success of the U.S. women's national team in the Olympics is important for market stability. It is important for market stability. This market is heavily influenced by the female players that play for the U.S. women's national team, and their success on the field informs the market activity of Americans. When Americans are liking the style of soccer that's being played when they're supporting the national team. You see more volume in sales. When the key players for the team are performing well, we see even a rise within the market and how people are investing in it. Even coming off the backside of the last World Cup, going into it, there's a lot of steam and momentum for some key players, particularly thinking about Sophia Smith and Trinity Rodman. The rookie autos were selling at a premium price at that time, and since then we've seen a drop off even on that of the interest in those cards. Their performance really drove how people were going to be interested in the market. We had a lot of people watching at that time of whether or not they wanted to really begin to collect some of these cards. And so regardless if it is a new collector or a collector joining from another sports market, or even the men's soccer collectors, we need to be aware of they're going to be watching how the U.S. women's national team performs. And so when we think about the big tournaments and trophies that they have the opportunity to go for, those tournaments are going to be key. It's going to be very helpful if Mallory Swanson comes back strong for the team and she comes back to her NWSL MVP type of performance and she brings that to the pitch. That's going to drive market value up. Yet she is typically undervalued in comparison to Sophia Smith and Trinity Rodman. So we need to be aware of that. Macario gained a decent amount of hype. Maybe her move to Chelsea will lead to her getting quality minutes and time and scoring goals, and their success on the club level might be able to help her out. But still, how she performs for the U.S. women's national team is really going to drive this market. I think if we can learn anything about the market to date, it is that U.S. women's players play a big impact on what is considered valuable or invaluable, and particularly set a margin for the market, because we have some maybe younger prospects within the U.S. women's national team space that they tend to be valued higher than the players that are playing really well in the Champions League right now. And so let's be aware of that this year and understand that this team is going to be fairly critical to what is happening this upcoming year. And so pay attention to that. I would, if I were you, no financial advice here, but if you're paying attention to what's happening there, now is probably a decent time if you're interested in picking up some cars before that cycle comes up, because people's eyes are going to be on them once the Olympics come. But that doesn't mean that's a great long-term hold. I think you need to use some fundamentals in deciding what is a quality car to get. Just know that there are a lot of different cars that are out there right now for all of those players, and the market is flooded. The market is flooded. Let me get to my third prediction here. The continued growth and development of the NWSL will bring more collectors to the market. However, more collectors doesn't mean a stable market. And I know that might feel counterintuitive, because if you think that there's a more volume of interest within the market, that you would assume that means that it will be stable. The women's soccer card market has more traditional collectors who sometimes neglect value-based assessment. What I mean by value-based assessment is in the rate per which that player is playing, in their stats, their skilling, comparison to the global scale. You can value any item however you want to. So it doesn't mean just because you value it as a collector that you like that player doesn't mean that that card is that same price that you think that it is. So this can cause an valuation or undervaluation of different cards and different sets. I think until the market, again, starts to work together in its thinking about what is quality, what is a valuable card. Yes, it is an individual hobby where you are going in and building your own personal collection, but there typically tends to be trends about, okay, this is the premier rookie for this player. This is the most value set this year that people should be investing in. And so economics naturally does that by what people spend their money. But right now there's so many different sets and people excited to collect that there is a overwhelming at times sense of desire and impulse to invest in different cards and to get that new set within your hands. That does not mean that that set is valuable. It doesn't mean that the paper version of the card that is not numbered is going to be the long-term hold. But we're seeing many of those types of cards getting graded or collected or sold or traded at different volumes. And so New collectors can also collect overvalued products and invest in overprinted product without understanding of the market. I'm not going to call out names on the types of products right now, the types of players that people have been collecting. But I will say this: Donruss paper is probably not the way for us all. And what I mean by paper, I'm not talking about numbered cards. I'm talking about base cards. With the amount of collectors that are involved right now, I think we should probably be cautious of that, even for the Optic release that came out. The base Optic probably isn't what's going to push the needle for us in the market, but we're still in a season where we're grading that as if there's not much opportunity in the numbered market. So keep that in mind as we're thinking about this year. I think the NWSL is growing in great ways, and it's going to bring a lot of eyes to the game and to the market. And I think there's going to be a lot of people excited to collect their favorite players. Yet education on the market only helps the market to mature and to value assets together, or the cards that we are collecting and enjoying together. And so we are a healthier market together. And I think we need to remember that if you are looking for the value investment side of your collection and wanting to see it continue to grow and develop as you collect the cards that you love. Here's my prediction number 4. The bottom will continue to fall out on short print cards above out of 25. This feels hot take-ish, but I think it's a simple read for me. If you see how low some of these cards are selling right now, it is not hard to see. If you go look on eBay, you look on different auction houses to see what all is happening there. But each set simply has too many parallels for the current market. We have out of $299 for some of these sets, and we don't really need that right now. And on top of that, we have too many sets, so people are making choices between all these different sets and all these different variations, and we're kind of just grading whatever we want. And I think you should collect what you love, but if you're trying to think about the best cards to pick up for certain players, maybe wait a little bit. The cards are going to come to the market and they're going to drop off a little bit, and maybe enter into that card that you really want to have. You really want to be a staple to your collection. And in many ways, that's going to be below 25 if you're looking for that longer term hold that you think will be a key valuable card for this market. I think on this note, I think we have a few different exceptions, maybe generational talents, legends, and rising stars that quickly can be moved at a rate that is above the out of 25. But in the sense, I don't think that should be our common measure for success. I don't think that should be the way that we typically move within the market. I think as we consider what is happening here, we need to take our time and evaluate what is going to be the best for our own personal collections. And maybe you do love just the out of 299. I'm not talking about that group of people. I'm talking about the group of people who are excited, seeking to build their collection, and they want to take steps in gaining key cards. And sometimes that means patience. Sometimes that means at the beginning of a release, some of those cards are going to sell very quickly. And then they come back to market two or 3 months later when people are just hoping to make the quick flip or the quick buck. And in that time, you might have invested money on $30 cards that become $5 cards in the next 3 months because that set is not as popular anymore, because it's not before the public's eyes, and there's a new set that's on the horizon. And you wish you would have used that $30 5 times over to invest in a more quality card. That's what I'm talking about here. I want us to think through this together as a community. And so the raw to grade market will continue to suffer for non-rare cards being purchased. Those who do profit will incur a quick bucks, yet the entire market will suffer from the frustration of value investors / collectors. The market as a whole will get frustrated over time because of what is happening, because of them losing value within that which they collect. That is the beauty of even being a collector, because you want to kind of up your collection to gain more valuable cards within it at times. And the way that you get there is when you are thinking well about the market. And sometimes that means going against the grain of the market right now and trying to pick up cards that other people aren't thinking about. And that means Okay, maybe not going after that out of 60 card from Select. Maybe that means holding off on the out of 99, Donruss Cracked Ice card. Maybe I wait on those cards because I want to make a play for the out of 10 gold optic cards that were, for some players trying to sell for over 1,000, but now have dropped to $400 or $500 now. Like, that gives you a different sense of accessibility to the market. And so be thinking about that. I think as we grow in how we view short print cards, it would only help us in maturing together as collectors and investors in the cards that we love. Let me get to prediction number 5 here. We'll have a new Ballon d'Or winner, but their market will grow substantially. Will not grow substantially. My apologies. We've seen no strong trends among Ballon d'Or winners in this current market. No strong trends. And what I mean by that is that there are recent Ballon d'Or winners whose markets right now are dropping off fairly drastically, and it's showing us that the Ballon d'Or trophy is not viewed in a multi-year facet. Even Alexia Putellas, her cards have fallen off, even though she has 2 trophies. If you look at Megan Rapinoe, even though she has the trophy, her cards don't do that well in the market. Get to Ado, get to all these other players. And the trophy, winning this great award, is not helping their market in the ways that we would assume that it would. And I think that should raise a question for us. It shows us that we are moving fairly volatilely, like just with the hype of the movement of the moment. And so we're going year by year. We need to think 5 to 10 years, how illustrious is this trophy if they win it twice? What does that mean for them in their legacy? Are they then have the possibility of becoming a legendary player? Or are they just a world-class player today? And so I think if we begin to think in these terms, okay, someone is world-class right now, they win this so many times, they win the World Cup or the Champions League, this puts them into a legendary category, and then we have a GOAT category maybe. And so if we begin to think through this identifier, maybe it will help us to mature together as a community. I would love to hear your thoughts about this. What should be the marker of greatness within the market? Should the Ballon d'Or make you a staple, Should a World Cup title be valued? Do we say that the Spain title adds a lot to Putellas's maybe investment or collecting value because she's won that award, even though the participation wasn't the same as had been in the past, is the Champions League, winning that title, is that more valued? And then if you think about where the market's at, well, the NWSL players aren't always competing for the Champions League. So how do you handle their titles or their MVPs on trophies from that league? So all of this should lead us to good conversations, but we need to know that just because there might be a new winner this year, which I think there would be, that it doesn't mean that their market will grow substantially. Is that good or bad? We need to be thinking about that question. And if you think that's bad, that might be an opportunity for you. That might be going against the grain of it, not just going for the next rising star. We shouldn't be just looking at, every year who's a new Jaden Shaw or Olivia Moultrie or whoever it might be. We need to be ready to help stabilize the conversation together and think through the value that we could have investing in certain players. So I would love to maybe hear from you all in the comments or just message me. How do you think we should categorize maybe world-class, legendary, and then maybe kind of that GOAT status when it comes to these categories of trophies, the Ballon d'Or, the World Cup title, and Champions League titles, and maybe the NWSL, we'll put that in there too because of the popularity of the league and its influence on the world stage. I have one bonus prediction that I want to give. This year will provide many opportunities for long-term value investors in the market. I think it is a buyer's market, and I think this is a great opportunity for you if you want to add to your collection, for you to get some cards that you've been maybe dreaming of, to get them at a steal of a price. Deals are to be had. You just need to pay attention to every auction house and the diversification that's there. It's hard at times right now to keep up with everything that is happening, but I encourage you to pay attention, because when cars go to auction, they are not performing too well. I've learned this hard way myself. I've put a few cars on auction that have underperformed drastically in comparison to what they've done from a buy it now. I would not recommend you to be auctioning a bunch of cars right now. Talk within a community of collectors and try to move your cards together. I understand sometimes you want to just auction them off just to have a quicker transaction, but it's a buyer's market right now. It is a buyer's market. Pay attention to it and go against the grain of the market if you're looking to take steps to build your collection in a fun, unique way. Dive deep into the history of different players and look for some cards. There's still new cards to be discovered, I believe, cards that we have not maybe recognized or valued as highly as we thought maybe we should have. And I know there's new cards for myself over the past year that I've found very intriguing to my own collection, and I've added them to them. And that's helped me to enjoy the market. And overall, I just want to encourage you to enjoy this, love it, engage with the cars, engage with the game that we love, and watch these players perform on the field, and let's support them and encourage them in that. And so I hope that this video is a conversation starter for us all. I hope it would lead us all just to want to keep having conversations together, to grow and to develop as collectors, and just to think, deeply about what we're doing. And not deeply in the sense of you need to give too much time to it, but if you enjoy it and you're looking for opportunity, there's opportunity here, but the opportunity comes with a community of collectors enjoying it together. I love catching up with you all at different events, whether it's the national or different spaces, talking about these cards. That's where this community is so unique and so much fun. Yet it's great when we're talking about the value that we have here and the hidden gems in our eyes, because we know how rare this card is. We know how well this player played at the peak of their career, and I look forward to seeing you go on your collection journeys and seeing everybody grow and develop together as collectors. So thank you all for listening. I hope this was a conversation starter, and I look forward to hearing you all's thoughts. Thank you.